Fool me once, fool me twice. Are you dead or beans and rice?
No, you
Still
mean
the lyrics. Now you
I
never see me cry.
I think
It's time to die. I messed that completely up. Sorry.
no. I was gonna say maybe you should have done like delay me once, delay me twice.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, I should
but
have done
anyway,
that. Anyway, sorry about the ropey intro. Hello, everyone, Bond fans. Welcome to this live stream on No Time to Die, which is obviously, well, you know about it. It's the latest Bond movie, of course, and it's Daniel Craig's fifth and final movie, and it's been a fucking long time coming, I'll tell you that. But this is a short retrospective on the upcoming release of the movie, which is actually less than a week away. So it's all kind of ramping up now. The marketing is all there, and the cast have been doing interviews. Craig is saying goodbye to this character at long last. I mean, they've had to delay this movie, well, at least 4 or 5 times because of the coronavirus, and also they had some other production issues before COVID. But anyway, we're getting it now, which is the main thing. So yeah, I'm joined today by Jack, the film fanatic. So yeah, Jack, let's start by talking about the trailers, because we got a couple of new trailers a few weeks ago when they announced they were going ahead with release, and the US trailer and the international trailer, which, I mean, they're kind of similar, but except the US one, I think, starts with some flashback footage of Craig's other movies. So, Jack, do you want to give your thoughts on the trailers?
well, I think the trailers so far have been pretty great. I mean, you've of course got the main one where Bond is driving in his Aston Martin with the machine guns, and you've got the stuff with Safin, and it being a changing world and stuff like that. It's interesting to see where they're going to go with it in this film. Like, we do know a bit about what the film's about, but we don't know everything. Excuse me. But yeah, I think. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they've kept the plot fairly guarded. I mean, the only things they've kind of given us are, again, like you say, the themes of like the changing world, and the fact that Madeline has a big secret that, or potentially a big secret that is going to, well, destroy her relationship with Bond. Because as we know, at the end of Spectre, Bond and Madeline rode off into the sunset. Bond decided not to kill Blofeld, and he decided to say, "Fuck it, I'm done with this life," and he was going to try again to settle down and be happy, much like he tried to with Vesper. And obviously, if the trailers are anything to go by, it doesn't look like that happy ending is going to last very long, which I think is interesting. Like the first trailer that dropped, I didn't expect Madeline to say, "Why would I betray you?" And he says, "We all have our secrets. We just didn't get to yours yet." And it's going to be interesting to see how much more complex Madeline is as a character, and because she may have done something in the past or doing something bad for the right reasons, And in terms of the new trailers, they haven't given too much away. They've shown us a couple of new shots. Like there's a shot of Bond on the screen. He's being like targeted. So maybe there's like some big weapons involved, and it looks as though the Navy are in this movie. They've kind of brought the Navy back after. I think the last time we saw them was probably the Roger Moore era, or no, maybe Pierce Brosnan. I think Tomorrow Never Dies might have been the last time. But anyway, like, because there's shots of like of the Navy vessels and subs, which look cool. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a really beautifully shot movie. I mean, the cinematographer did La La Land, so I'm not surprised how beautiful the lighting looks. And yeah, again, I couldn't really tell you much about the plot, judging from the trailers, but I liked how the US one started out with the flashback images. The clips from Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre. Just kind of, again, marketing the fact that this is Craig's last one. And yeah, So I think it will be interesting to see how Craig's movies will now work as a 5-part series in itself, as well as it being a part of the entire James Bond canon. Um, but the trailers are exciting, very, very exciting. I think the best trailer out of the 4 trailers that we got was the second one, the one that was like meant that had the November date on it, and that was kick-ass. That was a really kick-ass action trailer, and yeah, it looks like again, it looks like the action is going to be top notch, and yeah, it's hard to say where the story is going to go. It's hard to say where the story will go. I mean, obviously they're not going to show too much about the ending in the trailer. I mean, that would be stupid. Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited. I was really excited, and I love Q's line in the trailer. That was one of the best bits when he said, "Can I just have one nice evening before the world explodes?" That was great. It looks like there's going to be sort of a strong theme of family. They've talked about this in interviews, how this one is about Bond's relationships to everybody else, like to Madeline, to the MI6 team, to Safin, to all of them. And I suspect there will be a lot of callbacks to his other films, and to obviously for the purpose of tying up the stories. I think that will be the case. I mean, I'm not sure, what Cary Fukunaga and the writers have done, obviously, but Phoebe Waller-Bridge has had an influence on the female characters. So, yeah, and obviously the cast were on Graham Norton last night, and they showed a clip of Bond and Nomi, which was cool, very cool, I must say, and a bit of a clip with Safin, which is kind of an extension of the trailer. So. I think I've seen everything that I want to see. I mean, there'll be adverts, obviously, in relation to the film when we go and see it. But it's just nice to know that the pandemic restrictions eased enough for the producers to go, you know what, now's the perfect time to release it. And I know the streaming option was considered, but I'm glad that they haven't done that, because I agree with Craig and the producers. It's better to see Bond theatrically, but yeah, sorry to waffle on, but I'm genuinely very excited, and this is like, I think this is the biggest movie event since the pandemic, and I don't think I'm wrong in saying that, because I mean there have been other movies like Marvel and everything that have done well. I think Shang-Chi's done quite well recently, but Bond, some people are saying, oh, it's not going to bring people back. Well, I think it is, and apparently the ticket sales are going really, really well in the UK. Anyway, the ticket sales are at the most for a film they've ever been since the pandemic. So, if that ain't a good sign, I don't know what is. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be sad to see Craig go, because he is my favorite Bond, but I'm genuinely pleased with what he's accomplished, and I just hope this last one is a great way for him to bow out, and for him to go out on a high note. And also, it would mean that hopefully he'll be the Bond actor to have had the best exit from the series. I mean, currently, the actor who has the best Bond exit is, Lazenby, I suppose. I mean, even though he's only had the one film, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big movie event, and it's going to be epic. And after all the delays and all the issues, I still believe that good things come to those who wait, and we've waited patiently enough for this movie. It's been 6 years since Spectre, so it's long overdue, and thank God that we're getting this movie now. But yeah, Jack, is there anything you want to say about it?
Well, I just like to say that I think this hopefully this film's going to be really good. I mean, I wasn't really a fan of what Cary Fukunaga said recently about Sean Connery's Bond, but I'm not going to let that affect my enjoyment of the film. I think the film, it's been 6 years since we last got a Bond film. We've been starved of James Bond the last 6 years. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm just praying to God that this film will be good, and it's not a PC woke fest. But I think it will be good. I think I mean they've had a long time to write it, direct it. I mean they've had it in a can for a long time now, like since 2020, and I'm hoping and praying that this film is good, and I think it will deliver the goods. But we'll have to wait to see on that sense. But I mean, talking about the trailers. I mean, the trailers have got me excited. The action looks great. That bridge scene that we've seen a million times, where Bond is swinging from the bridge, and there's a lot to get excited for, with this film, and and the great thing is now is that it's definitely coming out. I mean, never say never when it comes to this film. Could get delayed again, but I honestly don't think it
I
will
highly
because
doubt it. It's too late to
yeah,
delay it now. I mean, obviously we can
yeah,
joke about it, but in a realistic sense, there's no way they can do it. Like they're going ahead. It's marketing has taken over. I mean, they're less than a week away. It's they would have distributed the movie by now. But anyway, yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, I, it's going to be interesting, like when they release this on Blu-ray or DVD, to see the behind-the-scenes documentary. It'll be interesting to see what they have to say about that, because the
And
film
actually, on
really,
that subject, sorry, we watched the Being James Bond documentary on Apple TV recently with Craig and producers talking about his tenure, and it was actually very insightful, I thought, and very emotional when Craig gave his farewell speech to the crew, which was really nice. And I suspect that will be on the Blu-ray. I mean, what a great way to just cap off, 15 years now, 15 years as Bond, James Bond.
yeah, no, 15 years, it's incredible, because I mean, we've, he's been my Bond growing up. I mean, I watched James Bond on the TV, like Sean Connery and Roger Moore, but I think Daniel Craig, he's just been incredible the last 15 years. It's going to be, the thing is, we're going to be saying goodbye to him. I mean, the weird thing is we're saying hello to him again after 6 years, but we also be saying goodbye to him on the day that we watch it in the cinema, because that's it for his Bond. And it's kind of strange, really, because I mean, he's been the Bonds, for both of us, since we were growing up. I mean, I remember watching Quantum of Solace in the cinema. What was that? Nearly 14 years ago. 13 years ago now, and it's crazy, because I mean, I saw Quantum in the cinema, and then I watched Skyfall, and then Spectre, and and I remember watching Casino Royale on DVD and fucking loving that. And he's been Bond so long now. It's been like 15 years, and
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, we've had a lot of gaps in his era, but at the same time, he's been Bond for
yeah,
such a
you
long
could say
time.
worth it for the
Yeah,
films though.
yeah. I mean, no, it's been worth it, but yeah, I'm just saying that we've had a lot of gaps, and that's why he's the longest serving Bond in terms of years. But um, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be weird, to go to a Bond after he leaves. Um, you know, it's 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 gonna be weird to see someone else play this character, because it's
Yeah,
kind of different to it's kind of different to Doctor Who, if you think about it, because just to make the comparison, like Doctor Who, they change their actor,
yeah,
like it seems every 3 years. Daniel Craig,
yeah,
like he's been there for so long now. It's kind of like saying goodbye to Roger Moore or something like that, or
yeah. You get
Tom
so
Baker or
used to
something.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get so used to him as Bond, but yeah, it's gonna be weird to say goodbye to him. But yeah,
Yeah, and we can say that we are we are the Daniel Craig generation. That doesn't sound too cheesy. Um, growing up with his films. I mean, just to put it out there, I haven't been a Bond fan since Craig started. Skyfall was the first one I saw in the cinema, and that really got me into the series. And then since then, I've got all the films on Blu-ray, and except No Time to Die, of course. And I've become a passionate fan ever since then. So about nine years, I think I've been a Bond fan, which isn't actually that long compared to some people, but you know,
yeah,
watching Craig's tenure has been amazing, and I mean, like most of us, the wait between films has been excruciating at times, but you know, I still think it's worth it, because the quality of his films are so good and really impressive. I watched Quantum of Solace today, and okay, yeah, that one definitely has a lot of flaws, but I always appreciate Craig. I mean, he literally reinvented the role. So, to whoever his successor is going to be, they have a really tough job because do
Yeah.
they basically follow in Craig's footsteps or do they reinvent it? I mean, who knows? It's going to be a very interesting. The next film after No Time to Die is going to be a very, very interesting film. It's going to be a huge event. No Time to Die is a big event in cinema because it's released after the pandemic, and obviously it's Craig's last one. But the next one, I think, will be just as big an event, if not more so. And the reason is, Sam, I don't have those on Blu-rays because I don't like them, and I'm not going to rewatch them again. I don't consider them canon.
Don't have what on Blu-ray?
Never Say Never Again or Casino Royale '67. I'm sorry, I just don't like them. So I'm not gonna buy them. I mean, God, that'd be terrible. But again, and with No Time to Die, I wouldn't be surprised if some Bond fans may shed a tear or two. I mean, depending on, they say that No Time to Die is a very emotional movie, so we'll see how emotional it is. And yeah, I wonder if I just hope that they don't kill off James Bond, but I think it's a kind of 70-30 for me. Like, I'm 30%, worried they might do it, but I'm more confident that they won't do it because the film's called No Time to Die. But I think that's too much of a risky move, and also I think it sends Craig out on a sour note. I just think he shouldn't die at the end. If they tease it, okay, fine, I'll let them have it, but I'd rather they didn't. Yeah. But I think it's going to be very bittersweet to see Craig go, and I think I really just hope that he will. I mean, he's going to be remembered for a long time. I mean, it's the biggest thing he's done in his career, but I'll still follow the guy as an actor. I'd love to follow his future roles and everything, and I think each actor gets to a certain point when they realize age does become a barrier, and I think over the course of the last couple of films, Craig has injured himself quite a lot. I think he's injured himself on all of the films, but I think it's become more apparent in recent times that he's struggled more to make them. So I think No Time to Die is probably the last one on that basis anyway. Like, physically, he's probably not going to be able to continue after this film. It was great that they persuaded him to do one more after Spectre, because it looked as though with Spectre he might have decided to call it a day. And he was considering it. I mean, he even admitted that in interviews. But and he said recently he was a bit down about the whole thing. But thank God he changed his mind, because it was great to have him back for one more time. And yeah, I mean, he's my favorite Bond. I'm gonna miss him. Really, I'm gonna miss him. But I am curious to see who's gonna be his replacement. But Barbara Broccoli clearly hasn't thought that far ahead yet. I think once we get over the release of this film and into the new year, I think then we'll hear more about Bond 26.
I can tell you who I think the next Bond is.
Go on.
I think it's going to be that John Reggie Page guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good actor. I think I've seen him in one or two things before. I mean, I think he did a car advert recently, and that's why everyone sort of like looked at him and went, "Oh, okay, he could be James Bond." He's certainly got the suave, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he looks quite young, so I don't know if he's a bit too young for the role. But
he's like 31 or something, and also I think he's 2-1 the bookie's favor. I mean, I would not be surprised if he was the next Bond, but I mean that's going to open a whole other debate, about who should play Bond. But I'm not going to get into that. But I mean, yeah.
And just as a quick side note to answer Sam's question, the reason I own Die Another Day is because I have the Bond 50 Blu-ray box set, Sam. So I got that as a gift, Christmas 2012. So I'm sorry if that's a problem for you, but yeah, I I own the Bond 50 box set. It's a lovely box set actually. It goes from Doctor No to Quantum of Solace, and then I've got Skyfall and Spectre individually, and obviously I'll get No Time to Die when that comes out. So yeah, I mean I have no clue who I want to be the next Bond. I just want someone good. I mean I don't know if the next guy will be as good as Craig, but then again I am a bit biased for Craig, but I'm more interested in where the series is going to go, like what direction it will go in. I mean, presumably they'll look at what's current. I mean, who knows? The next Bond film might be about Brexit. I mean, let's hope
Yeah.
not, because otherwise
Yeah,
we'd have Boris Johnson playing James Bond, and that ain't going to go down well.
yeah. We'll have COVID Bond. It'll be like a Bond trying to fight the pandemic. That's his. I mean, actually, saying that, I think Nick pointed out ages ago that it's something to do with like germ warfare.
What, are you talking about No Time to Die?
Yeah, apparently it's something to do with like germ warfare. So it's kind of weirdly ironic that I mean, I think it was just a coincidence before the pandemic came out, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I mean, judging by the trailers, there could be a couple of implications into that. So I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens. But I mean, in terms of Bond 26, to see where the franchise goes after this, I mean, I guess we'll see how this one ends. And we know Craig is going. So yeah, it will be interesting. And I think, having a younger Bond will be good. It will rejuvenate this series a bit and, give it some lease of life. And I mean, if Phoebe Waller-Bridge is staying on to write it, then that's not a bad thing, I suppose. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have too much else to really say. I mean, I think covered all the bases. I mean, obviously the production history of the film has been kind of really all over the place. I mean, it started out with Danny Boyle directing it, and then he quit. And then Cary Fukunaga replaced him, and then there was loads of problems on set. Like there was an explosion, and the script kept changing. And it sounds like this has been one mother of a film to make. I mean, of course, all films probably suffer these issues. It's not uncommon that films go through development problems. I mean, it is, it's life. But No Time to Die seems to have I'd say had a bit of bad luck, but certainly had its struggles. And then, of course, the pandemic happened, which, it almost seemed like it was harder to release the damn thing than it was to make it. But it'll be worth the wait. A Bond film set in Australia. Well, why have one in Australia when you can watch George Lazenby? That's what I say. It's a Sam's comment.
yeah.
I don't know if you can see the live chat, Jack, but Sam asks you, when are you seeing No Time to Die?
When am I seeing it? Well, depends on a few factors, but hopefully I'll be seeing it the open day. If not, probably like the day after. I'll definitely see it as soon as I can and review it because I've been waiting for this film for ages. But I plan to see it opening day. But if I can't, like the day after,
Yeah,
So,
it might be
yeah.
worth checking the screenings and times and making sure it's not. Well, I don't think it'll be sold out at the moment, but I mean, apparently it's people are booking.
Yeah,
Are.
well, I mean, I plan to see it with a friend on opening day, which is I think Friday, isn't it? It's 30th, so it's Friday.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Well, yeah, I'll plan to see it opening day, or like I said, the day after. I'm sure there'll be you know tickets and everything. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, and the Hans Zimmer soundtrack is going to be released soon as well. I've actually pre-ordered it, so I've got a couple of the tracks already downloaded, and some of them sound really, really good. The one from the Terror sounds good. I won't spoil it, but I mean, Hans Zimmer proves he is a fan of John Barry. Let's just say that, which is great. I mean, I did like the score for Spectre, but it was kind of a rehash of Skyfall's music. But it sounded good, and then it worked for the movie. But I think Zimmer's score is going to probably be more emotional. I would imagine so. Anyway, so but yeah. What else can we say about No Time to Die? Oh yeah, seeing that title sequence, I'm excited about as well. The with the Billie Eilish song, which has really grown on me. You know, I'm actually really a big fan of that song. I mean, I'm not too into Eilish's music, but her song for No Time to Die is, I think it's actually really good. But we'll see how it works with the titles.
Yeah. No, I think her song is quite good, surprisingly. You know, someone who's not a fan of Billie Eilish's music, I thought the song was really great. And
Better than Writings on the Wall for you.
oh yeah, but I mean, I don't think Writings on the Wall is like the worst thing ever, but also, you know, I don't think it's
What,
amazing
what
either. Yeah, I wasn't keen on it, but I don't think many people were. No, I think I think this film's going to be really good, and you know, I'm just hoping and praying that it's going to be as good as you know as I think it will be. Hopefully, so you know, and
Yeah, I mean, do you reckon it could rank among one of the best as one of the best Bond movies?
potentially, yeah. I mean, I don't know where it's going to rank. Like I've seen people talking about it. Like realistically, I don't know where it will be. It could be one of the best. It could be like mid tier. It could be. It could even be like lower tier. It could be even one of the worst. I mean that's me being really pessimistic saying that, but we don't know. I mean, you know, I have a lot of, you know, I have a lot of hope for this film because it is a James Bond film, and you know we haven't seen Bond on the screen for 6 years. It's been three times, you know, the usual amount of time that he's been away from the screen. Usually, you'd see him every 2 years. It's been
Yeah,
6 years, so it's three times the amount of time away you'd expect him to be off the
and it's
screens.
actually
So
double the amount of time from Skyfall to Spectre as well, because it was
yeah,
that was only 3 years, and this is 6.
yeah. I mean, it's the joint longest gap. I mean, I don't think it's quite as long as GoldenEye from License to Kill the GoldenEye, but I think it's pretty much like similar. I mean, 6 year gap
Yeah,
essentially, or
I mean, if it was
just under six
if No
years.
Time to Die was delayed again, then yes, it would be. It would. I mean, then it would have rolled into next year, 2022. But no, thankfully that they're they're keeping it in this year. Thank God.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes out on the 30th September, it won't quite make the mark for 6 years. It'll be like 5 years and I don't know, 10 months, 11 months, whatever it is. Because I think when did Spectre come out? Was it October
I think it was
2015?
26th of October 2015.
Yeah.
I
So
think it was actually a Monday, if I remember correctly, because I remember going to see it on the
yeah,
day it was out.
yeah. So I mean, this film thankfully doesn't, you know, hasn't beaten the record yet for License to Kill the Goldeneye. But I mean, one thing I will say is now that Amazon have bought them over, I think hopefully we go back to like a 2 or 3 year gap. I mean, I don't mind waiting 3 years, but I think the series it needs to really. I think this film and the series itself just really needs to reinvigorate itself. You know, especially if they're going to get a new actor in. You don't want to be waiting years and years for the new actor to play. Um, you know, to be the next James Bond in the next film. I think, you know, after Daniel Craig leaves, you know, you want to see the new guy in action in at least, you know, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
And
I think 3 years is more likely because of
yeah,
the fact they have to cast the guy.
yeah,
And they haven't, by the sounds of it, Barbara Broccoli hasn't really made any plans for that because they've been delaying No Time to Die. Um, so I heard it. I watched an interview earlier this evening with Craig and Barbara Broccoli on ITV, and
yeah,
she said, like, she was asked the question. She's like, I've not thought that far ahead, so I guess I still think in the new year. So potentially we'll get the next film maybe 2024, I'd say, which would make it 3 years,
yeah.
which I think
Well, they're
would be
sending,
perfectly acceptable, you know, considering 3 years isn't actually that long. It'll go by quickly. Well, I hope it will.
Well, I mean, saying that, I do remember talking to a friend about this, and you know who he is, but and he said that apparently Barbara Broccoli was thinking of like having another like long gap, just to sort of so people sort of forget Daniel Craig, and then they get the new guy in. So I
No,
mean, I don't know. Like I think with the gaps, like
I
I
don't
don't know if
believe
the
that.
film.
I'm sorry. I don't believe that because we've had all this issue with the pandemic, and No Time to Die has had so many production issues. I think it will be a few months, let the dust settle, and then into 2022, she'll think about the films going forward. Plus, she has to consider the fact of the travel with COVID. Where can they travel? That's another thing they have to be very careful about. So it's going to take a bit of time, but I don't think it's going to be like another 6 year gap. I don't think it'll
No,
be
I
that.
know. I don't think that, but I mean, we might have to wait longer than 3 years, which is annoying. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
whatever. 3 to 4 years maybe, but I'm going to guess. I'm just going to guesstimate and say 3 years, just as a rough estimate.
yeah. I
You
think
know,
2 years is too soon. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's too early to really say what will happen with the next film. Um, they just want people to embrace No Time to Die and say bye to Craig. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, I know you're gonna say no to me saying this, but I know Louis said he would have liked it if they just delayed this film till 2022, and I was thinking like, do you think they should have, considering the fact we've only got a few months left of, well, like we've only got like 2 3 months left this year. Like, do you think maybe they should have delayed this film to like January 2022, and that way there's like used it as the 60th anniversary like
yeah.
Bond film? But yeah,
I mean, I can see what you mean, but the honest answer is probably not. I mean, because also we've been waiting so long, and I don't think even you would disagree with me, to be honest, because you've told me how much it's frustrated you, and if they were going to release the film in the 60th anniversary, they'd want to do it in late 2022. Um, I can't. I mean, I know they would never choose January, but I was surprised when they even considered April 2020 as a release date, really, for No Time to Die. But still,
yeah,
we're not going to get a film for the 60th, so it would be nice to think they could re-release Doctor No, maybe. Um, but I guess we'll see. I mean, it's again too early to say, but or maybe they should like re-release at least Doctor No, but if not, release some a variety of the classic Bond films which haven't been screened for ages. That would be lovely.
yeah. No, I think with the next Bond film, they have a lot of you know big shoes to fill after Daniel Craig leaves. But I think with No Time to Die as well, like we have to. I mean, one thing I will say is like talking about it like the runtime. I'm wondering what the audience reaction will be to the runtime because I mean I said myself like I don't really mind if it's 2 and 3/4 hours, but it'll be interesting to see like the audience reaction to it, like whether they think that's too long or like what the sort of feeling is. But I mean, the thing is, it's kind of weird with the Daniel Craig era. Like, it seems that he's broken his era's really broken the record in many ways. Because like Casino Royale, I think was one of the longest Bond films, at like 2.5 hours. And you had Quantum, which broke the record for being the shortest Bond film. Um, you there?
Yep, I'm just listening.
Yeah, yeah. And then Quantum broke the record for being the shortest Bond film. And then you had Skyfall, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe Skyfall held the record for the longest, and then, or it was either Skyfall or Casino, and then Spectre broke that record at being like 2.5 hours, and this one is going to be 2 hours and 43 minutes, so it's pretty much close to 3 hours. And I understand
Mhm.
why it's that long because they're wrapping up Daniel Craig's era, but um, it'll be interesting to see like what the audience and like what the reaction from the critics is. Like, do you think like the length might? I mean, it probably won't be an issue, but do you think it might be an issue for some people, like the general audience? Like,
Yeah, everybody's perception of the pace will be different. Some people will find it too long. Others will probably be fine with it. I think it's going to be a mixed reaction. It's hard to judge. I mean, plus in the cinema, there's all the adverts, so we've got to, and there's loads of Bond adverts that usually come on before a Bond movie, which are all tied. Big brands that are tied to the film, like Heineken, and then the cars, and then and all of that stuff. So either way, we're going to be sitting in the cinema for 3 hours. It's the film is like just short of 3 hours with like 20 minutes of adverts. We'll be in there for 3 hours, so it probably will feel long. But I think some people will just embellish it because we've had such a long time without Bond on the big screen. Others may find it tedious. I think it's going to be a double-edged sword. It's one of those things. Everyone's different. You can't really judge it as a general consensus. I think, but that's just my opinion.
yeah, I mean, I think Bond. I think Spectre got a lot of criticism from people who said it was too. It was essentially too long. Like some people made that criticism, and I mean I kind of understand where they're coming from. Like on recent rewatch for my reviews, I did think it was a little bit too long, but I still really enjoyed Spectre. But I think the issue is the storytelling. Like you said, it's the pacing. And I don't mind it being 2 hours and 43 minutes as long as the story is great and everything. But I think with a Bond film, like I really think for the next one, like I mean, people may disagree with me, but I think for the next Bond film, we should go back to like a shorter runtime because we haven't had a. I mean, all the Craig films have been pretty long, except Quantum. That was like an hour and 43 minutes or whatever it was, or 45 minutes, and all the others have been 2.5 hours or longer. And I think for me, like the ideal runtime, and it's sort of been the runtime for most Bond films, for the majority of the franchise has been like 2 hours. And I think the
Yeah,
next Bond, and I think the next Bond film, if you're introducing a new guy, I think it should be 2 hours long because I mean it makes sense making this 2 hours and 43 minutes because it's Craig's last one. But I think but I think if they want to get more people like bums in seats, and I think if they want to attract more people, like maybe they, I don't think I think this, I don't know that if you would agree with me or not, Ollie, but I think maybe this should keep the record for the longest Bond film because I don't know if I would want to watch a Bond film that's longer than this that actually is 3 hours. I mean, 2 hours, 43 minutes. Like I said, I'm willing to give it a chance, but I don't think. I just think Bond, it's kind of like it's sort of like a B movie popcorn munching, action franchise that you kind of sit back and enjoy for a couple of hours. And I know the Craig films they've gone more down that gritty, realistic route, and they've had more story and character. But I think I don't know about you, but like, do you think this should like keep the record for the longest Bond film? Because the way we're going, it seems every Bond film is getting longer than the last one. But yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. It's hard to say whether. I mean, I think to be honest, this runtime for No Time to Die, I think it was purposefully done. I think they went into making the film knowing it was going to be long because they had a lot to tie up, and they probably thought, well, this is Daniel's last film. Let's go out with a bang. It's They thought, fuck it, we'll let the audience sit for another few more minutes than they did with Spectre. Um, Again, it's how you pace it. But with the new guy and with Bond 26 going forward, I mean, the films have always been on an average of about 2 hours. Certainly up to Die Another Day, they've always been on that average, with a couple of exceptions like Majesties. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think the next one will be shorter than No Time to Die. I mean, I don't know how much shorter. Perhaps that maybe they'll aim for an average of, I mean, 2 hours 10, 2 hours 15, perhaps maybe. I don't know. it's really hard to say. it's but and it depends what direction they go in with the franchise. I mean, No Time to Die is going to be more epic, and it's an emotional send off. Yeah, I can't really say. I mean, maybe they'll go back to the more sort of. I don't know if they'll go too far from the sort of into the fantastical sort of elements of some of the films. But certainly, I think they'll keep the plots based on current affairs. But maybe the next film may not be as gritty as the Craig movies. It depends on the actor, and you know, with Craig, they obviously wanted to make it more of a character study and more of an in-depth emotional, into the emotional psyche of Bond, and perhaps the added length of the movies was necessary in that regard, so they could fit in all the other Bond elements. Um, I mean, obviously, Quantum of Solace is the exception, but again, with the new guy, it's really hard to say. Whereas the older films were more fantastical and fun, and they had their moments. I mean, Rogers were a lot of fun. I think the longest Roger Moore Bond film was, I think it was about 2 hours 11 minutes. Was it View to a Kill? I forget
Could
which
have
one is
been.
the longest.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's really hard to say, but it's a good question though. It's worth bringing up.
Yeah, because I mean, I think like I think with Bond, like it's not me having to go with the pacing. Like I said, I don't mind longer films as long as they're paced well. But I just think, like in terms of general audience and other people, like I told my dad about the runtime, and it kind of concerned him a little bit. And I know some other people, like with Spectre and stuff, they thought that was too long. So I just think with the next Bond film after this one, Bond 26, I just think like I think it should just clock in at 2 hours. The longest I think 2.5 hours. I think the Bond franchise, just as a general rule, like, it seems to me that each one, like recently anyway, since Skyfall has been one's been getting longer and longer. Each Bond film's been getting longer, and I think there sort of comes a limit. There's like, I mean, you can get film fatigue sometimes, when you're watching a film that's too long. And I think the audience, like, I think they should stay. I think they should keep the record for the longest Bond film, because I think if you did a Bond film that's like 3 hours, I don't know if the, I don't know if the general public would want to watch that. But I mean, I could be
Yeah.
wrong. But I mean, I don't know if the general public would have the stomach to sit down and watch a Bond film that's 3 hours, or like,
Well, I think some people would,
you know,
because you've got the hardcore Bond fans like us.
yeah,
we'd watch the Bond movies, whatever length they were. But I think hopefully the people with common sense will just go in and judge it as they see it. It's hard to have preconceptions about runtimes, really, because you can look at a runtime and go, okay, well, this looks okay. You can kind of have. I mean, I think it's all a personal preference, really. I think it's up to the
yeah,
individual person to decide whether they feel something is too long or not. I mean, it's we've had long films in the past, not just Bond, but like, I mean, we've sat through even longer films than No Time to Die. Like The Godfather and Lord of the Rings, and even some of the Harry Potters were quite long. I think the longest Harry
yeah.
Potter is Chamber of Secrets. It's like 2 hours 40 minutes, so it's not far off No Time to Die. Um, so yeah, it's again very hard to say, but sometimes some of the longest movies are the best. Um, like The Godfather 2 is considered one of the greatest movies of all time, and
Return of the
that's
King.
20 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah, Return of the King as well. That's like, in
Hmm.
the extended cut of that, it's like 4.5 hours. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, of course, they can't release that theatrically, although they did put it out there during the pandemic, which I was very grateful to have seen. Um, but a general audience can't sit in the cinema for no longer than 3 hours. Otherwise, it gets a bit bum numbing, and also, you know, I think cinemas need to have enough time to screen the movie enough. So having having a shorter runtime is more beneficial for screenings, but longer films have done very well in the cinema. Yeah,
yeah. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not making the argument against that. I think longer. run times can be, you know, can be fine if you've got a lot of story to tell. And I think in the case of Bond, I think they have got that story to tell. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
and also like things like Avengers Endgame, which they know is going to be like a massive movie event and a crowd pleaser, and people will sit there for 3 hours and watch it. I mean, because you have to sort of judge the film as you're editing. You have to like assess the cut that you have and go, well, that's great, but what is an audience member going to make of this? What is someone who's maybe not that attached to this going to make of it? And does it flow? Is this too long or does this need tightening? And I think that's the thing. Like, if I were making the movies, I'd constantly want to assess the cut and go, is this working? Is this too long? Is this, etc., etc. But it's a good point to bring up, and it's certainly. I mean, a lot of films are quite long nowadays. We don't get as many short films. I mean, mainly the kids' movies are quite short, but even then, some of them are like over 2 hours. But it depends.
yeah. No, it does. And I think the film. I mean, talking about the film, like, what did you think of like Kai Fukunaga's like comments recently about Sean Connery? Like, I know that sort of wind up some people, but I was just wondering like, what your opinion on it was.
Yeah, well, I was surprised to hear that comment from Cary Fukunaga. I don't, it's his opinion. That's fair enough. I respect his opinion, although be it it's an extreme opinion, but that's just his opinion. And I think he shouldn't have blurted it out in public. And it's a very insensitive thing to say in the public domain. Um, I think he should have just kept his mouth shut and just kept his opinion to himself. Again, I use the same comparison with J.K. Rowling. She said some stuff about I think the trans community a while ago, and that's still causing quite an uproar with some of her then followers who probably not are now, including one of my best friends. Um, so you have to be very sensitive nowadays, and I don't think all the celebrities in the world have how can I say this, have any respect or understanding of how social media works and how even on there, something can be insensitive. Whether the intention is meant or not is another thing. But yeah, I'll still give No Time to Die a chance. I'm sure Cary Fukunaga is a talented director and good at what he does. But as a person, I mean, judging by interviews, he seems okay. But yeah, that was quite an extreme thing to say. But yeah, I'm not gonna tell him what to think. It's his opinion. But again, it's just like it's a bit extreme. But that's just my view.
Yeah, no, I think it was kind of insensitive, to be fair. I mean, Connery died last year, and I don't know like why he felt like he needed to say that. Like you said, he should have just kept his mouth shut. And I'm still gonna give the film a chance. I'm still gonna look forward to this film, and I will, judge it fairly as well. And I think that's another thing to say about the film is like I'm not gonna go into it, and I think Ollie agrees with me. Like, we're not just gonna praise it for the sake of it because it's a new Bond film. We're not gonna just give it 10 out of 10 for the sake of it. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna watch it like 2 or 3 times, and
Hmm.
and then afterwards, after we see it like the second or third time, we'll give our general assessment whether we do think or not it's a great send off for Craig, or we just think it's good or okay or not good. So, I mean, there's a lot of hype for this film. There's like, I think for me, I'm kind of like, I don't know about you. I mean, even though I'm really excited for this film and I really want it to be great, I'm sort of like 50-50 on whether or not it'll be, great, or whether it'll be like, not so great. I don't know about you, but you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Uh, oh, I was gonna. Did you hear what I said there? Or
Sorry, what was the last bit you said? The signal cut out there.
No, I was just saying, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not this film's going to be great or like not so good. I mean, I am really excited for it, but I mean, there's kind of like, do you know what I mean? I'm like kind of cautious about it. Like, I'm sort of like 50-50 on whether it's going to be great or like not so good. But I don't know about
Yeah,
you, but yeah.
I'm kind of leaning more towards the side that I think it will be great. I think there's more of a chance of it being great than not great. I think they've put, by the sounds of it, they've put a lot of work into it, and the script has been developed and redeveloped so much, and it's been such a long time, and getting the film off the ground was a difficult thing. But I mean, there's chance it could be disappointing, but I don't want to think in that mindset. I want to go into it thinking this will be a great experience. And it's Craig's last one, so I think to give us a disappointment for his last go. I mean, some people are probably. I mean, it's not going to please everyone, of course, but I just hope like Skyfall and Casino Royale, it pleases the majority. Um, yeah, I try not to be too cautious about it. I'm just gonna sort of try and go in with 50-50 expectations. I mean, I can't deny I'm really excited. On Thursday, I'll be going into the cinema and I'll be getting pumped, but at the same time, I'll be like, I'm just going to judge it for what it is, even if it isn't great. I'm just going to judge it for what it is. I remember seeing Spectre the first time, and that was a great experience. I mean, when you see it with a full audience as well, it kind of gives you that sort of, it kind of elevates your hype a bit. I mean, Calvin Dyson did a video about that recently, going to the cinema, seeing a Bond film. Um, it is a brilliant experience, and they definitely belong on the big screen. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I hope I've answered the question. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm too worried, but you know, maybe I'll have a slight bit of cautious. I'm more, if I'm cautious about anything, it's the ending. That's the only thing that genuinely I'm concerned about, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to end, but again, I have to go in there, and blind faith does kind of have to kick in. Faith that the producers and Craig have not killed Bond and will, stick the landing and just give him a nice exit and not kill him.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm worried about. I mean, apparently, like, I think like they reported it ages ago. They said like they filmed like three, was it three or four, something like that, separate endings for No Time to Die, and that's kind of where I'm concerned they're going to kill him off because if they do that, if they have three or four separate endings and they choose the ending where he dies, let's say, I don't know about you, but some of the I think one of the endings will be he might die. The other ending might be he kind of just like walks off into the sunset, and that's kind of it, and then
Yeah,
the, but I
but the
mean,
thing is,
yeah, I mean,
like, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. Um, there's that rumor that's been going around that Bond and Madeline have a daughter. I mean, we haven't seen any footage of her if she is in the movie. It's not been shown in the trailers, but um, potentially, if that's true, Bond at the end. If Madeline dies, I wouldn't be surprised if she dies at the end. I mean, who knows? But perhaps Bond settles down and raises the daughter, and then they restart the timeline with the new actor. But they could keep the MI6 regulars and just restart the new timeline. That's the best ending I could hope for. Or he finds some kind of peace with everything that's happened. That maybe he leaves MI6 for the last time, probably this time on his own terms, and not because of Madeline or any other reason. Or maybe he stays. I mean, who knows? It's just, yeah. I mean, the fact that there's three endings. I mean, one would have thought that they, they would have sat down in editing and hopefully chosen the right one. But maybe they'll put the other two alternate endings on the Blu-ray, so we can see what they were choosing from. Again, that's up to Carrie Fukunaga, I suppose. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm
I
excited
just
to see what he's like as a director. Because we've had Sam Mendes for the last two films, so to see how Cary Fukunaga directs a Bond movie will be interesting. Anyway, sorry, do carry on.
Oh no, sorry. No, I think I mean, I don't know about the ending. Like, if they do kill him off at the end, I don't know how I'll feel about that. I think it would leave a really sour taste in my mouth. That's the last image of the Daniel Craig era is him. You there? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I was just blowing my nose. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it would leave a really sour taste in my mouth if that was the last image I saw of him as Bond and it is him dying. You know, yeah, it's just not a good precedent. You know, it just doesn't set a good, you know, it just wouldn't be a good ending to his
Did
era.
someone
And
say president?
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
and I mean, also the fact is that they've called the film "No Time to Die." So, I mean, there was that rumor they were going to call it "A Reason to Die," but they apparently they thought about using that, and then they changed it at the last minute. And I reckon that was because of the whole Danny Boyle incident, and so I reckon they considered killing Bond. But I'm actually with Sam. I don't know if they'll do it. I'm kind of more on the side that they won't do it, but and yeah, it's not a dignified way to go out, and I don't think they'd want Craig to be remembered leaving the series dying. You know, it's almost a bit disrespectful to Fleming and the character, you know. And I think Craig as well, like he's invested a lot in this character, and he would have had his say about how Bond leaves of how his Bond leaves the series. I mean, they could
yeah,
just, I mean, the simplest ending would be if they don't do the daughter thing, is just have Bond, you know, something obviously emotional will happen in the climax if Madeline dies, but Bond stays in the series, and then next time we just continue with a new actor. But I don't know if that would work because then the new actor would be younger, so having the same timeline may not work. But yeah, it's hard to say really.
yeah. Um, yeah. No, I'm looking at the comments there. Yeah. No, yeah, I agree, Sam. I don't think Carr should have said that, but yeah, I think,
Yeah,
I, th- I think, I just think it would leave a really bad taste in the viewer's mouth if Bond died. I don't care how he dies. I don't care if he dies in a dignified way. I don't care if he like defeats the bad guy at the end and then. No, I mean, I assume what might happen if they do kill him off is like, let's say he's like fighting Safin to the death, and then like maybe, you know, Safin like mortally wounds him, and Bond manages to kill him just before he dies of his mortal wounds. Like maybe they would do something like that, or you know, maybe and like maybe you would have Bond like with Madeline before he died after he stabbed Safin to
yeah.
death or something or shot him. I don't know.
Or the daughter if they have the daughter in the film.
Yeah. That could. Yeah, actually, I mean, if they do kill him off, I think what they might do is like he gets into a brutal fight with Safin, and then he kills Safin, but Safin mortally wounds him. Like say, stabs him in some kind of artery, or he shoots him or something, and then maybe Bond, as he's dying, sees his daughter as he's dying, and then he dies. I mean, if they do kill him off, I just don't think there would be any good way to do that, and I kind of have a feeling the reason they changed it to No Time to Die was because I think if they called it A Reason to Die, it would be too obvious that they were going to kill him off. So there is that fear that I have, and also the multiple endings at the shot. There is that fear that I have that they will kill him off,
Yeah,
and
the thing is, then it makes the
yeah,
title completely redundant.
yeah,
So I'm more confident that they won't, but there's obviously a small inkling that they could. But then it makes the title seem completely ridiculous. If they did
yeah,
that. But again, I guess we'll see. But the only other solution is that maybe they'll tease it. I think what they might do is they'll tease Bond dying. But I mean, if this thing is concerning like genetic warfare or germ warfare or whatever you want to call it, maybe Bond is infected with something, and then he gets
That's how he
revived.
dies. Yeah.
Well, no. What I'm saying is like to tease his death, they'll get him infected or something, and then he's on his last legs. But then maybe he's saved by Madeline or someone. I mean, it's Madeline's way of apologizing. Maybe she sacrifices herself for him, and they do like a Majesty's thing where she dies to save him. I mean, like the Caves of Androzani, where Davison's doctor saves Perry by giving her the antidote, but he has to die to do that. I'm thinking they could potentially do that with Bond and Madeline in the end of this film. It depends what the plot is about. It's again so hard to say, but yeah.
I saw a guy in the comments there said he was open to Bond getting killed off, and I mean, you're saying like it would kind of make the title redundant, and I can understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, you could look at it as like, it's called No Time to Die because it's like, literally he's, fighting, it's his last mission, and he doesn't have any time to die, but he's going to die anyway. So, like, I think it's kind of like...
I don't really buy that logic, but fair enough.
No. What I mean is, like, he has no time to die, but he's already dying. Like, he's saying to himself, no, I don't have any time to die, but he's dying anyway. I mean, they might do that. I don't know, but...
I think it would be pretty stupid if they did, though.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just, I think they might kill them off. That's the thing, because they filmed those 3 separate endings, and that is I think a clear indication that one of those endings might be him dying, and they were originally going to call it A Reason to Die, and I think the reason why they changed that title is because that would be too obvious. If they just called it A Reason to Die, then everyone would know, oh wait, he's going to die anyway. So, I mean, I don't know, like maybe they got rid of that idea of Bond dying after Danny Boyle left the project, but at the same time...
That's my thinking, but again, who knows? It's hard to say.
It's those 3 separate endings that kind of concern me that they might do that. And if they did kill James Bond, I just don't think it would sit with me at all, because I think Bond is a survivor, and the whole point of Bond is he doesn't die. And I just think it would leave a real sour taste in my mouth. As the last image I see is Daniel Craig, like our Bond, just dying, like the blood's slowly draining out of him, or he gets shot or something.
There were even articles about this last year, and one guy who wrote an article about it, he said it would be a pretty sour way for Craig to go out, and I think, it's not. I just don't think it would sit well with Fleming either. I don't think Barbara Broccoli would have the balls to do it, to be honest. I don't think her and Michael would take the risk. I think they know it would split the fans down the middle. Some people would be okay with it, and they'd come to terms with it. Others would just totally never support the series again. they would see it as a complete betrayal. It's like the Last Jedi situation. You would divide the fans. So yeah, I don't think he will. I'm more on the side that he won't. I can't be 100% sure, but given that the film is called No Time to Die, and also it's just too big a risk. It's just way too big a risk. I mean, I know this thing about they could reboot the timeline, but how does him dying make it more interesting for him as a character? How does him dying elevate the story? It just makes us sad, yes, and it'd be emotional, but it's like, well, that sucks. That's kind of how I would react to it. Be like, well, that kind of sucks, Yeah. I mean, it was different with M in Skyfall and Vesper in Casino Royale. Judi Dench's M. I mean, that was a ballsy move to kill her off, but that was appropriate because of the way they did it, and it influenced the change at the time. Like Skyfall was a real turning point of the series, and it was the old versus new theme, and like the old guard was falling apart, and the new guard was coming in, and it was beautifully told. No Time to Die, it would never work, no matter which way you did it. Like you said, Jack, there's no there's no real way to do it and get everybody on board with it. You get some people on board, but yeah, again, like you said, Sam, I'm choosing to be optimistic about it, but we'll see.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but
That's all
yeah,
right.
it would just leave the franchise and it would leave the film on a really sour note because we don't know how many years afterwards we would have to wait until another Bond film, and it would leave his era on a real sour note if they did that. I understand why they would want to do it because it's like something you haven't seen before, James Bond dying. But I just don't think whatever way they did it, I just don't think it would sit well with me because it would leave it on a depressing note. Bond's dead, and it's like, oh well, is that our last image of him? Like Daniel Craig's corpse, you know, is it like one of the last images of the film? No, I mean the thing is, like when you go to a Bond film, you always want like every time the film is over, it's always Bond cracking a one line like end of Casino Royale. The name's Bond, James Bond, and then Quantum of Solace, the ending to that. The ending to Skyfall. With pleasure. You always like that's like the great punchline at the end of each film is that
Yeah, because you
Bond.
have the Bond theme in the credits, the da
Yeah.
da 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 da, and I think No Time to Die needs to do that. It needs to have a kick-ass Bond theme in the end credits with
And you
Bond.
want to come out of a
Yeah.
Bond film. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's mine. Go on. Sorry.
No, no, yeah. You also want a Bond film to like when you come out of a Bond film, you're kind of excited at the end of it because you're like, yeah, that was awesome. Like, you know, even Quantum, the ending of that, you kind of came out of there and you were like, yeah, the Bond thing, like, you know, you when you come out of a Bond film, you don't want to be like sort of sad and depressed. You want to come out of there thinking that was fucking awesome. And I think I don't know. I just think any. I mean, I think they might do it. I mean, I think it's a 50-50 chance they might kill him off, and it kind of concerns me. I don't think they should do it. I mean, there's kind of a clue in the title, "Die," and I just don't want him to die. But yeah.
I think the clue is more that it won't happen. But again, I can't be 100% sure, but I would have thought that the title "No Time to Die" logically meant he's not going to die.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think if we worry about it, it might happen. So I'm just going to choose to not. I mean, as the film comes to its end, maybe I'll start to get concerned, but it depends. I think someone might die. Safin will probably die, but
Yeah.
maybe Madeline. Who knows?
Do you think it's going to be the last one with Q as well? Because I think the actor Ben Whishaw said he wants it to be his last one.
Possibly. I hope not. Possibly. I mean, he did mention something about last year. He said the shoot was really intense. Like he found like the shoot to be quite chaotic at times with Carrie Fukunaga, but he still enjoyed it. So maybe time has passed. So I think I'd like to see the MI6 regulars back to interact with the new guy. But yeah, it's up to them, isn't it?
Yeah. I I don't know about you as well, but like, do you think they should reboot the series after this? Do you think they should reboot the timeline again, or because I don't really want them to. I just kind of would like them to continue on, with just a new Bond actor, like they did in the old films, and like just have maybe, have the same M, the same Q, the same, Money Penny. But if they're not going to do that, you can just have a new Q, a new Money Penny, and a new M, but just continue it on anyway. Like you don't need to reboot it. Like you don't need to do like a Casino Royale again. I just don't think there'd be any point doing an origin film again. Do you know what I mean?
No,
'Cause we already have that.
I don't think they'll do the Origins film again. I think they're going to have to reboot it in some way, like a semi reboot. Like it, like in terms of a new actor starting with a new timeline, yes, I think that's what will happen. But I don't think they'll start from the origins. It will just be him going on a mission. Because everyone has seen Casino Royale, so there's no point redoing that. But like we've said in the past, Judi Dench returned after Die Another Day. She was the only thing from the Brosnan era that returned in Casino Royale, and thank God she did. And it didn't affect the timeline at all. It really didn't. So I think to be honest, I could see all of them coming back. Even Rory Kinnear's Tanner, I could see him coming back. But if they want to recast them, I'm sure they will. But they're also likable. I don't see why they would. I think it will be left up to the actors. Yeah, that's my theory.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be weird anyway. Whoever takes over as the next Bond, because we've had Daniel Craig for so long now. It's kind of, and I also saw that. I think you saw it as well. We watched that documentary, that like 45-minute documentary or whatever it was, where they were saying goodbye to him as Bond, and he was saying that he was on the set when it wrapped up, and he said, despite what people said that I said in the past, it's been an absolute pleasure playing this character. The past, like, what was it, 14, 15 years. So, yeah, it's gonna be a real shame to see him go. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm so excited for this, but it's gonna be bittersweet as well, whatever happens, because we're saying goodbye to him. We're saying hello to him again, but we're saying goodbye. But
yeah, as I mentioned earlier, like you said, and as I mentioned earlier about the documentary, that was a really nice documentary, and that speech that he gave was really bittersweet, and even he got emotional over it. I mean, it's been a big part of his life, and he's been a big part of the franchise, and maybe I wouldn't have gone into Bond without Craig, so I owe a lot to him, and his 5 movies are going to be adored. Well, for the most part, anyway. I think his movies are going to be, rewatched again and again, and even though there were gaps between his movies, 5 movies is still quite a lot for for Bond, and he's I mean, he's not the longest serving by a number of films. That would still be Roger, but I think by a number of films, he's like the 3rd longest serving, because obviously Sean Connery did 6. So, but I think 5 is a good place to stop, and I think given the gaps between the movies, I think Craig has chosen the right time to stop, and I think it's nice he can leave on his own terms as well, like and he can go and he can celebrate his last film, and then he can just move on to other projects, and I'm sure he'll get more work. He's a huge international star now, and he's and he's going to be doing more Knives Out movies. So yeah. And just what a fantastic set of films he's given us. Even Quantum has its moments. I still think Quantum of Solace isn't the piece of shit that people say it is. It's definitely his weakest, but there are some good moments in it, and I just hope No Time to Die.
Spectre as well.
Yeah, and Spectre, yeah. And I just hope No Time to Die completes that set, and it makes it, it keeps the quality up, especially as we've had to wait so long. But and as for the future,
your Blu-ray set.
Yeah. And as for the future of the Bond franchise after No Time to Die, well, it's not going to be clear to see where it's going to go. I honestly, I couldn't really fathom where it's going to go. And as for the new guy, he better be bloody good. He better be bloody good. But that's kind of it, really. That's my closing thoughts. I've got nothing else to really add. I look forward to seeing No Time to Die, and also Felix coming back. That'll be nice. This will probably be Jeffrey Wright's last film as Felix. I mean, maybe he'll be back with the new guy. I don't know, but it depends how it goes in this film. If not, they'll have a new Felix. I mean, they always change Felix anyway, but yeah, it's going to be the biggest movie event since the pandemic, and we're all going to be wide awake to witness it.
Yep. And yeah, it's gonna be a real ride, this film. I mean, I'm hoping it's gonna be as good as it should be. I'm really hoping it's gonna be great. And I mean, I think honestly, like Bond, we deserve a great Bond film after so many years. After 6 years, I mean, Craig deserves. I mean, I think Craig definitely deserves a great Bond film to end on. And I think it will be a great film. I mean, hopefully it is. I mean, because we've been waiting so long for this. I don't want it to be a PC woke fest. I want it to be a kick-ass Bond movie, and I want it to be a great send-off for his era because we've been waiting a long time now, and I think the time has come, to say goodbye to Craig, but hopefully we say goodbye to him in a great way. It's going to be interesting. The guy who comes after him, it is going to be a real tough act to follow because Craig saved this franchise from disaster after Die
Yeah,
Another Day. Really,
I mean,
you
let's
know,
face it, he dragged it out of the cesspit that it fell into after Die Another Day.
yeah. I mean, the franchise was dead for 4 years, and if it wasn't for him and it wasn't for the Bond producers, maybe we wouldn't have had any Bond films after Die Another Day. Or it wouldn't have had this, wouldn't have been reinvigorated as much as it has been under
Yeah,
Daniel Craig. I mean, he's been the highest grossing Bond, I think, out of all of them.
yeah.
So
Out of all
his
six,
films,
he's earned the
yeah,
most, and maybe you're right. Maybe it was fate that made Die Another Day so shit in order for this franchise to need to be reinvigorated. I mean, most of the Bond actors, I think, have left on their own terms, with the possible exception of Dalton and Brosnan. Brosnan was let go from the role, which is okay. Shame for him, but he had 4 films. That's a pretty decent amount, and obviously the series needed to restart. And then Craig was probably, you know, a diamond in the rough, really, when you think about it. I mean, Barbara Broccoli, her instincts were good casting him. Um, Roger left on his own terms. I think he knew he had to go after A View to a Kill, and Connery left, came back, left again.
then
Dalton
came back, then left again, then came back.
again, and then Dalton, sadly, his second movie didn't do so well, so he kind of had to. I guess he was sort of let go from the role, even though they offered it back to him, but he turned it down. So I guess maybe he did. Maybe he did finish on his own terms as well, but kind of mutually. But you know, it's nice that Craig was able to sort of say when he was done, rather than the producers saying it's time for you to go. And I don't think Barbara Broccoli ever wanted him to go. She clearly adores the guy, and she even said in the interview I watched, she's still in denial that he's left. It's. I mean, they finished filming No Time to Die a long time ago, so it's yeah, back in 2019, I think they finished filming it. So it'll be sad,
Yeah,
but then we'll have 5 movies to marathon with him, so that's going to be fun.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, yeah. 2 years ago, they wrapped up filming on it, and now we're finally getting it. Shame we couldn't have got it in 2020 because funny that's the only year that Bond has never released a film. I don't know, we're nearly 6 decades in. It's never released a film at the start of a decade, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And just thank God it didn't go to streaming. Thank God. It was
yeah,
much better to just wait for the cinema, for the cinemas to be safer. And now with the easing of COVID restrictions and COVID vaccines and everything, it'll be much safer to go and see it. But yeah, I mean that's kind of it from me. I have nothing else to add. Is there anything you want to say, Jack, before we finish up?
just I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing. Excuse me. I enjoy.
Oh, you're impersonating Daniel Craig from the sketches.
I enjoyed this stream.
We don't do this. There'll be nothing left to eat.
History isn't kind to many we cold. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to spoilers, but let's just say something's coming back to life. Some kind of Bond is coming back to life soon. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. We're bringing you some more Bond content on our channels, and I'm not talking about the No Time to Die reviews.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
something of a different ilk. But
Yes, something a bit sketchy.
yeah,
Yeah, a bit Bond sketchy, but yeah.
watch this
Um,
space. No, literally, watch this space because yeah, um,
yeah. Because someone's gonna fill that space.
well, he's going to need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, but it's been good doing this
Mm.
stream, and next time, of course, we'll be talking about next time we do a stream, we'll probably be talking about the film. We'll be talking about the whole Daniel Craig era. So
Yes, yeah, we'll be back probably in October to talk about the complete 5-film Daniel Craig saga, which will be amazing, and also with all the movies more or less connecting to each other. I mean, they're all kind of sequels to each other, really. Well,
yeah,
now they are anyway, and we'll see how No Time to Die culminates all that, and that's going to be a fun hangout. I think that will be really cool.
yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So
Yeah, and
yep,
thanks to the guys in the live chat as well, Zach, uh, and Zach, and Sam. I believe that was everybody. I don't think there was anyone else. Oh, and Daniel Roberts. Yes, thank you guys very much, and I hope everyone enjoys No Time to Die when it releases in under a week, in a few days' time. And yeah, until next time, I'm Mr. Tarnus 11. This is Jack the Film Fanatic. See you soon. Bye for now.